Good morning, boys and girls. Well, depending on where you are. Welcome to When I Feel Like It's O'Clock. I just finished my Pilates for the day. Well, for the week, month, whatever you want to say. I've been kind of avoiding the Pilates lately. I've been substituting Roma clocks and Nutella baths. But I got to get back at her, so I did. Uh, while I was doing my Pilates and afterwards, of course, having deep meditation, it came to me that I haven't talked about Kovalchuk, the Kovalchuk situation. Well, um, the Kovalchuk situation, for one thing, he's going to be rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. He seems like what most people would call a very selfish guy. He uh, he took a 15-year contract. I can't remember what it was. It was a ridiculous amount of money from New Jersey, and bolted from Atlanta. Then went 3 years, played there 3 years with fairly good results, I suppose, and bolted for the KHL because he said he wanted to go to Russia. Now, apparently, Lamoriello knew all about this, and in actuality, it kind of looks like a way that they were able to get him for 3 years to try to do a final cup run, and were fully aware he was going to retire, and and got rid of the rest of the contract in doing so. But that's just between you and me. But that's what it looks like to me. They had 1 year with Kovalchuk and Parisi on the same team, and made it to the finals that year. And to an owner or whatever, that's worth the money, and especially since they didn't have to pay it all out anyway. So a lot of people give Kovalchuk flack for this, but I am not so sure that Kovalchuk was the only instigator in that situation. But anyways, he's wanting to come back, and apparently he's expressed interest that he wants to go play for the New York Rangers. Well, he doesn't really have much say in it, I suppose, except unless he does something like, because I have a feeling Kovalchuk has had options to come back here before, and maybe even wanted to, but he wanted to under his own conditions. Uh, and you could call that selfish if you want, or you could call that a person who's worked hard to be an NHLer and has earned the right to have choices in life. And I tend to go with the latter. He's a fantastic player. Yes, he has God-given skill. There's no doubt about that. But you don't make it to the NHL just on that. You have to work your ass off. Even some of the laziest players that you can come up with are probably 100 times harder workers than you are. Certainly me. But if he comes back, where would he go? New Jersey is not likely going to keep him. They're in the middle of a rebuild. It wouldn't make much sense to him. He's expressed interest to stay in the New York area, which doesn't really matter to New Jersey, although it could help them in negotiating a trade to a certain team. The New York Rangers, as much as it might be on the top of his list, is not a likely place to go. If one thing the New York Rangers have is a lot of offensive depth. Now, it's possible that they could find a place for Nash and not have to bring anything back. Not likely. Probably same as Stepan, but I think they're going to sign Stepan. I once thought that maybe they would trade Stepan and pick up Shattenkirk, but the truth, as much depth as they have at forward, up the middle is not one of their strengths, which isn't good. So I thought maybe Miller was going to be better than he was, and I also liked Nash. No, not Nash. I can't remember his name, and it'll come to me as I'm talking about this. But their other young center that they have, but they didn't really take the ball and run with it so much. So I think Stepan's going to have to come back. So that being said, their strength is on the wings. I don't see him going to the Rangers. Now the Islanders have been another option. However, with their arena deal problems and stuff like that, they might be just enough of a bad situation where Kovalchuk says, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going. I think I'll sign in the KHL." However, if he doesn't do that, and then possibly, because that's what I'm saying, he has that option, right? New Jersey can't just pick any team. He doesn't have to come back. He's just expressed interest to, so he can go to New Jersey and say, I'll go back. I'll go back to the NHL if it's these teams I'm going to. If not, I'm not. So he has like almost his own self-imposed limited no trade. He also can't get too crazy with that because if New Jersey doesn't get a return that's decent for them, they probably won't even bother with it. So they'll use that as their own leverage. But say he were to go to the Islanders, what kind of a player are you getting here? A lot of people have said that, oh, he's washed up. You know, he hasn't been in the league for a while. I'm sorry, he's Kovalchuk. I think what you're looking at is, even at 30 some years old, you're probably looking at a Radulov type player. He can still probably pot you 25 goals and 50 points, maybe even more. That being the case, yeah, you're going to get a pretty good return for that. A 50-point player in the league right now is at probably, he will only bring about 3.5 million, something like that. And that's the other thing. He doesn't have to come unless the money's right either. If the Islanders willing to give him 5 million or whatever, I mean, I'm sure that would pique his interest to go there even more. And knowing the Islanders, they may do something like that. Anyways, I'll go with the Islanders. I'll say the Islanders, and they trade their first round pick or whatever. They could do that. But where I think they likely go, and I'm running out of time here, boys and girls, is that I think the very good place he could end up going is the Washington Capitals. Actually, they let Oshie go. I don't know if they'll sign Alzner or not. Gives them some cap space. He can bring they can bring Kovalchuk in for 3.5. He'd be able to play with Ovechkin, and you'd also be able to have some room maybe to get another defenseman for your back end after you don't pay Oshie that kind of money. You also don't bring back Williams, so they're going to be doing some changes there, and really I think that would be the best bet for him, and probably the best team, most likely team that he would go to. I think any teams in the West he likely won't. There's a reason why he's saying somewhere in New York. What kind of return are you going to get for that? That might be the problem with Washington. They don't have their first round pick. Probably 2 seconds, but I mean, they're not going to get a huge return for Kovalchuk because if they can get 2 seconds or a first, they'll probably do it. But they're not going to get a huge return because there's not going to be options all over the place for him to go. Mainly, I did this video to let you know that they just don't have, they're not going to be able to just go to every team and say, do you want him? Kovalchuk's going to have his own stipulations, and that's going to limit the return that they get for him. Anyways, boys and girls, I'm going to be doing a top 5 coaches in the league, maybe even a top 10 coaches in the league. I haven't decided yet here. So be looking out for that. And be sure to check out all my other videos on my NHL Pearls of Wisdom. And stay well lubed, boys and girls. Stay well lubed. Have a great day. Lots of love to you.